All right, everyone. So there might be a big change coming to Civ 7. So we're reading here from Games Radar. Firaxis says Civilization is getting dramatic changes as it tests a way to basically bypass its divisive ages system and let you play as one faction the whole game. Civilization 7 developer Firaxis is playtesting a way for players to essentially bypass the game's biggest and most controversial new feature, the updated ages system. In a Steam update detailing Firaxis' plans for Civilization 7, post launch roadmap, the developer says it's testing out some dramatic changes to the legacy paths and victories, although it doesn't add on that front beyond wanting to open up the game and provide many new paths your empire can follow while achieving greatness and competing for victory. More specifically, Firaxis says it's internally playtesting one of the most requested features from players, that is, the ability to play as one civ continuously through the ages, allowing you to choose a civilization from any age and guide them throughout your journey through history. Basically, it sounds like Firaxis wants to give players the chance to experience similar flow to earlier Civ games, which would have you control one faction continuously from the beginning of history to the space age, whether that's ancient Egypt or the USA. The old Civ games still had ages, but they didn't tie each Civ to a specific age that would roughly match their actual point in history, which is kind of Civ 7's whole thing. So, I think at the end of the day, I think this would be the right move. And I think it's not that the way that they did it isn't good, okay? Because I think the truth of the matter is it would have been cool if they added this as a mode, right? As something separate that you could play as. But at the end of the day, people want to have as much control in a game like this as possible. You don't play a game like this unless you want that type of control. And I've always found it, that the worst games when it comes to these strategy games, when you're building a civilization, when you're building an empire, is the ones that kind of hold you back from doing exactly what you want to do for whatever reason that is. And it's not to say that you can't kind of talk yourself into like the ages don't really matter, right? Like you can do that in this game with the games I've played. If you just kind of go, okay, you still keep a lot of your what's it called, like your soldiers and all of that. So you could just kind of talk yourself into, yeah, I have the same civilization. But just having that breakup in the way it is, I think is a little bit annoying, and it wasn't needed. And you could have had a mode, like I said, with it. And it's always great to have the different like kind of campaign setups where you actually aren't in a free for all. You're trying to do a certain thing, beat this empire with only this or whatever it is, the different challenges they have. That's all fine to have, but you can't make that the whole game, right? People want Civ for it being Civ. And so I think this is the right move, and it's a move they probably should have made right off the jump because you have your hardcore group of fans that just want the game to be a certain way. They want you to make the improvements that they want, but they don't need you to reinvent the wheel. The complaints that people had with Civilization were not on that front. It's one of those things. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And I feel like they tried to enhance this a little bit too much, and it does kind of make it so you're like, okay, so am I building my civilization like, or I'm playing three different civilizations here? What exactly, what is the exact point of all of this? And like I said, if you had a separate mode where that was the case, that'd be fine. That's just more in the game. But if you don't have that, if you don't have the bread and butter of Civ, that's going to be something that people are upset about. So we'll be playing it when these changes are made and giving our thoughts. I think it's a good thing to be completely honest with you. I think giving players more, giving them at the end of the day what they want is better than trying to kind of reinvent this game. And it just didn't, I don't think it went well with fans. So thank you all for watching.